Let's see what we got going on here. Mic check. Mic check. I hope my music is not too loud. Let's see. Mic check. I am going to give it a minute before I start talking. Let me make sure this light is not too much in my eye. Okay, because I don't want to be blinded, okay? Let me make sure I can see me or hear me. Okay, that's not me, girl. That is not me, girl. Girl, that's not you. Girl, that is not you. Let's see. We almost a minute in. Come on. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Hey, Gwen. Good to see you. Happy Sunday to you, Gwen. I can see you. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Okay, we are live. Look ahead. I'm just as shiny as all get out, honey. Just as shining. Listen, come on in here. Happy Sunday to you. Look, what is today? The third, the sixth. It's the 16th because tomorrow is my youngest son's 23rd birthday. Okay. Let me tell you something. Oh, listen, come on in here. Come on in here. Before I get, y'all know I like to get started sometime. I start the little fairies and stuff be talking to me. So I start going back and forth. Look, if this is your first time here, hello and welcome. I am Yashika, also known as Fairy Godmother, and you are watching Hood Parenting. Okay. And the reason why this is called Hood Parenting is because if you don't know, and like I said, if you've never been here before, I am from Detroit. And so not only that, I retired from the military and I got all these little things that I didn't went to school for. So I said, you know what? I don't care what nobody say. The foundation for me to be able to live the life that I live and be successful as I've been successful, and my resiliency and all that stuff came from me being raised in Detroit, honey. And I don't care what nobody say because it built me in a way where I don't think that anywhere else could have built me for. And so that's why I'm able to share these things with you, because why? It comes from a place of wisdom, honey, because all the ancestors told me all the secrets, okay? They told me all the secrets. And so I am here to share all the secrets with you because all the ancestors told me all the secrets, okay? So they told me, they say, Yashika, we give you all the secrets. That way you can share them with people. Because here's the thing. You can have a whole bunch of ways of doing things, right? There's a whole bunch of things. And I tell people, when you look at a chessboard, there are what, 8, 16, 32 pieces, 64 pieces on or spaces on a chessboard, right? If you move one spot on that chessboard look completely different. However, sometimes it only needs to be a little bit to make it look different, or sometimes it can be a big move to make it look different, right? But the impact is what I'm talking about. And so in life, sometimes when you have just that little bit of information, that one person that told you that one thing, listen, it can make you go far, honey. One thing, that's all it takes is one thing. Somebody tell you something one time, you hear it, and it will change the whole trajectory of your life. And so here at Hood Parenting, I'm hoping that while you are on this journey, or you happen to stop by while I'm going live, while I post a video, you pick up something that you could put in your kickback, okay? So you can say, you know what? I didn't know I needed that information, but I am so glad I learned it because now I can use it, right? And so that's what we're doing here. I want you to be able to find it because listen, this thing called life, listen, it's so many ways you can do it. But the key is just remembering the life lessons you've learned and not to keep continuing to make the same mistakes. Because when you do, trust me, honey, when I tell you, God will make you continue to repeat those lessons until you get the lesson, okay? And I don't know who that's for, but I know it's for somebody. But look at here, y'all. Come on in here. Come on in here. Y'all, we are in Wellness Month. If you do not know, August is Wellness Month. And so I have been talking about wellness every Sunday for the last couple of Sundays. And of course, wellness is not just, going to the gym, or wellness is just not, saying, well, I'm going to eat healthy. Wellness is everything, mind, body, and soul, right? Making sure you do all the things, keeping your energy, clear, your peace, like all the things, right? Because you can't have a hectic life over here and a hectic life over here and then expect for your output to be something of not hectic. No, it's not. It's not. You can't. Listen, nothing that's really been good has been built on a shaky foundation, right? And so that's why people say sometimes it feel like I'm taking one step forward and it only takes two steps back. That's because there's some things back here that you got to learn before you are are given that ability to move forward. Although you think you've learned the lesson, you haven't. So you got to go back, right? And it's not that you're going back in all areas. It might just be that thing over here or that thing over there. Well, is that to you is everything, but no, he's telling you that you got some learning that you got to do in order to be able to walk into your full power, to get everything in this part of your life that you're supposed to, right? Because he wants you to be whole and he gives you everything that you need. Now, in saying that, y'all, let me tell y'all what didn't happen. Okay. Now, like I said, in us talking about Wellness Month, I just posted a video. Now, I only post my schedule for posting is Saturdays and Wednesdays, I believe, and I go live on Sundays. Okay. However, because it was some people that needed to see a video, I went ahead and posted. All right. Today's topic that we are talking is that you have a right to your emotions. However, you are still responsible for your response. Because again, we're talking about mind, body, and soul. I don't care what happens to you, what anybody says, does to you. How you respond is where you're tested, right? So let me tell y'all how we got here. So my daughter, my future daughter-in-law, decided that she wanted to throw my son, the one who will be 23 tomorrow, a surprise birthday party at a park here in our area. And if you've seen the video, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Well, this particular park is a new park. It's just like a little circle. It's just a very small park. It got a basketball court, a little park area for kids to play on the swings and things like that. It got a pickleball court. And then they got like one pavilion with a couple of grills. And then they got a little grassy area. And then there's a parking lot. That's it. That's all this park is in this area. Just a little bitty park. Something to just take your kids to on a Sunday. You don't want to travel far. It's in a neighborhood, not too far. It's about 5 minutes from my house. My son's surprise birthday party was being thrown there. Now, when we got there, or should I say my son's girlfriend's mom, when she got there, the pavilion was already taken. However, the rules of the park, although this pavilion is square shaped, is very small, the rules of the park is that it's two parties that can be up under this pavilion and that they have to split it in half because literally there's like a area where it can be split in half, but you're still up under one pavilion. Well, one party got there early that morning. The park opened at 7. They were there at 6. They were the first one. They put some things down while they were gone. Somebody else came. By that time, my party, was saying, well, you know what, we're not going to do, because they was like, you can have this other half. They more or less decided that my party more or less decided that she didn't want the half. She said, you know what, we'll let y'all have it. Well, by that time, another party came up. So they decided that they still were going to share the pavilion. So one side of the pavilion was a gender reveal, who got there first because they got the right side of it. They had the space already set up. The other side of it was a 3-year-old's birthday celebration. Well, during that conversation and doing everything moving around it, so we had decided to build us a little tent off to the side. So we were nowhere up under the pavilion, but again, the park is not too big, so we were still all in the same vicinity. Well, one party decided that they would lay their child on the benches of the other party because their full party hadn't got there yet. So by the time that party's person who was setting it up got there, they made a harsh comment about somebody moved this curse word child off of this bench. So the mother of that child responded. Next thing I know, it was an all-out brawl. It started off as an argument. And then eventually they started to exchange physical altercations. Then the parties and who was fighting became different. Like it was these two people. Then it became 4 people. Then it became some guys on top of guys. And it became girls with guys. I mean, it was a whole big old thing. Okay. And I was catching all this on film because at the time I was on my way to the other party because my dog saw a dog and I wanted him to talk to the other dog. So I was like, well, let me go over here and let my dog talk to the dog. So that's why I was videotaping. I just happened to be videotaping. Well, sure enough, I guess the people who was at the party, again, because it was a gender reveal and a 3-year-old party, there probably wasn't a lot of guys there. However, there was enough guys there that some of the girls that was there say, hey, I need my dude to come up here because this is an issue. So then we had people driving up in this area. This is a brand new park. And jumping out their cars. Okay. Now, y'all know when it comes to anything like that, people pulling up on the scene, jumping out their cars, they've been told to come. 9 times out of 10, they're not coming unprepared. Okay, I'm from the hood. They're not coming unprepared. So now we see that there's a lot going on. So I got to, while I'm watching my kids, I'm watching, listen, everybody, okay? So sure enough, the guys started fighting the whole 9 yards. People were literally going back to their cars. When I seen people going back to their cars, I told my kids, let's go to the woods, because mind you, they're in the parking lot at this point. They've moved from the pavilion, now they're in the parking lot. And so we can't get to our cars. All we can do is go towards the woods, because if they started to do the whole, this right here, they don't have no name, they fly. So let's go beyond where it would fly to so we can get up out of here. And if we could take cover in the woods, okay? That was my thinking, military train, whatever. Okay. Well, by that time, somebody called the police before it got to listen, we don't know where it was going, but it was ridiculous at this point. The police was called. The police was there in about 3 minutes flat. Kid you not. They were there in 3 minutes flat. And so it ended up being where the police put people on handcuffs. It was just one big cluster. There ended up being 9 cop cars, and there was a minimum of 18 cops out there. Okay, minimum of 18 cops out there. Then on top of that, you had the Chesterfield County city workers' trucks was out there, because it's a state park or city park. So it was a lot, where it was supposed to be a 3-year-old's birthday party and the gender reveal party. So because of all this chaos, none of those things happened. Okay, so this is how we got to tonight's topic. Because when we talk about children and raising our children and things like that, all I could think about is y'all did all this. Now, my son just turning 23. This was a celebration for him. And so no matter what, and I know he's older, and when you're older, you have a tendency to remember more things the older you get. You can remember 20s when you're in your 50s. But I know for a fact that no matter what birthday he have, he's going to remember this one because of this incident. The same thing with that 3-year-old. They're going to remember this as well. And so not only that, but there was children. And if you go and see the video, there was children that was up in all of the chaos, because the kids don't know what to do. If the mama involved, the daddy involved, who got the kids? Okay. Then you got people that was being pushed. You got elder people that was a little bit older. They ain't got no business being pushed in no crowd. It was a lot going on. And so it made me think about it. If we're behaving this way, and we're not controlling our emotions, then what exactly are we teaching our kids about mental health? Because here's the thing. When I started to think about it, and I said, listen, this is not about this happened. This is something that's going on with this individual, because it was one person that kind of kicked it off. And when you start piling so many things on top of one situation, it's not about that one thing. But because sometimes pressure busts a pipe, you get that, especially if you haven't controlled the real issues, right? So in a situation like that, a lot of things could have happened, all because one person failed to control how they responded emotionally to a situation. That's it. One person, even though one person says something to someone that was disrespectful about their child, it was one person, and I'm not sure who it was, that passed that first swing. That person was the person that let everything else override, like everything else go to the side, and that one moment in time overrid anything in life that they could have done, because a lot of things could have happened in that moment. Like I said, there were 9 police cars out there. All right, 9 police cars. Personally, I've lived on this earth for 53 years. I am from Detroit. I have never been involved with anything where there was 9 police cars, right, in my presence. Now, you might get 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? You might get about 4 or 5 of them that roll up. You might in the hood, okay? But by the time you start getting to about 9 of them, oh, it's something really going on. Now, I don't know if they didn't just have nothing to do, but it was a lot of people out there. Literally, you're talking between our party, there was 20 of us. And between the 2 parties, there was about 50 people over there. So, of course, there was a lot of cops out there, because they're like, what is going on? And so it ended up being where each party had to be escorted. 1 or 2 members of each party had to be escorted so they can go collect their items for a party that never happened. So, by the way, if anybody know Anthony and Alyssa, okay, if anybody know Anthony and Alyssa, can y'all tell them to tell me what they have in a boy or girl? Because I don't know. Because the party never happened. They didn't pop open the cake. They didn't shoot open the balloons. They didn't do nothing. So I don't know if the pink was going to come out or the blue was going to come out. So if y'all know Anthony and Alyssa, can y'all tell them down below. Tell them to comment down below what they have in a boy or girl. All right, so I can wish them a happy birthday and maybe send them something. Okay, maybe send them something because that was a lot on that young mother. That was her first child, and that was a lot on her, right? And I hope she's okay because that was a lot on her. That's how her baby shower went. That is insane. And so when we think about things like that, what are we teaching our kids? Because we can't teach them not to be angry because anger is part of an everyday emotion. Sometimes you get angry about things. Like I'm angry about this economy. I don't like the way this economy is going. I'm sure a lot of people is angry about the economy. But we're not up here trying to doggone beating on somebody's door or doing something irate because we're upset or we're angry about the economy, right? And so I'm looking at these people, and what I do know about people, and I know this to be true. When a person doesn't have a lot to lose, listen, when they don't have nothing to lose, they'll do anything. And so I'm looking at these young people that's out there. I'm like, you telling me? And I remember the one young man who was getting put in handcuffs. And his words was, I'm not going to let anybody disrespect my baby mama. So young man, you are getting put in handcuffs because somebody disrespected your baby mama verbally disrespected your baby mama. What are we teaching our kids? Because that particular couple, that was their 3-year-old's party. So what are we teaching that child? Because that child was there, right? And it was a lot. It was a lot for nothing. That's what it was. It was a lot for nothing. And so as a person like myself, I even had to think about how I responded in that incident, because even though the cops came after a while, right? There was a part where they were still huffing and puffing, but it wasn't as chaotic because now the cops had the area blocked off. Nobody could go anywhere. They were searching everybody. They was doing all the things. And so I felt a little bit more comfortable with walking over to him, because when they was putting the handcuffs on one gentleman, they put him on my car. And I literally was like, hey, y'all need to get off my car, like literally. And so I didn't even react in that moment the way I supposed to. You know why? Because again, my soon to be 23-year-old son was there, which means that when I went over there telling them to get off my car, because in my mind, I'm just used to, right? Because I feel like I feel safe walking in the world, right? But that don't mean that I need to drag him in my BS, right? Well, when I walked over there to tell them to get off my car, because again, I felt a little bit more comfortable because there were 9 cop cars by there about that time. My son still came over there with me. So if I had gotten any type of altercation at that moment, my son was there. So now I'm putting him in a compromising position because I did not take my own advice when it came to, listen, we got to put out, because I was like, hold up, get away from my car, because I didn't want to be inconvenienced. I didn't want to be inconvenienced because I already know how this gonna work. Y'all as cops, y'all do something, because man got blood on my car and everything. Y'all do something to my car, I got to wait till the report come. I got to wait and have somebody to take me up there, drop the car off. I got to get in the appraisal. I got to turn into to the police station. I got to wait for them to do up the report. That's a lot. I know this. But at the same time, I didn't think about my son, because now he's with me in that area, because he's not going to let anybody do anything to me, right? So I didn't think about him in that moment, right? But here's what I want people to understand. We are allowed to feel how we feel. We are allowed to be upset. If you feel, listen, I cannot recall the amount of times in my life I have felt disrespected for so many different reasons. Whether I felt I was being disrespected because of my color, because of my gender, hell, because of both, or just because I was I was a woman with an opinion. I don't care what it is. I have been in positions where I have been disrespected. You know what I mean? And what do I want to do? Okay, yeah. Baby, when I tell you the military saved me, because I already know if I did not go to the military at 18, then there was never a time in my life I believe I would have acquired that kind of discipline. Because when I look at my extension, like my family's, that's still in it, they don't have that discipline either. And I would have been just like that too. But again, when you don't have much to lose, right? I'm not saying that they don't, but it's a different lifestyle. Like, you believe in fighting for what you believe is important, and your respect is one of them. Whereas that I come from an environment where respect is earned, right? It's not given, it's earned. But there's people in this world that think that automatically you don't disrespect me. And here's the thing, they were fighting over an area that does not belong to anyone. That was the thing that surprised me the most. They were fighting over an area that did not belong to anyone. And so everybody put the party at risk. They put people's lives at risk, all for an area that belonged to the city that nobody has rights over. And so what are we telling our kids? You know what I mean? It's like I say, you could tell our children need to know, listen, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay because you're going to feel all these things. These are human emotions. I cannot recall an emotion that someone can say to me or mention, whether they say happy, sad, glad, elated, whatever, what I don't know any descriptive word to describe an emotion that I have not felt in this world. Maybe my vocabulary is not that big, but I cannot think of one that by the time now I'm at 53, I mean, every emotion that I can think of, I can give you an example in my life where I felt it. So what I'm saying is that we're going to feel these emotions. What we have to do as parents, especially in this generation, is teach our children how to regulate those emotions. Because when you got children out there, because I had my daughter out there, my grandson was out there, and then there was some other kids out there, especially in the parties that came. So when we got our next generation of children seeing this is how we handle conflict, then what are we teaching them? Because isn't that what's going on right now in the world? When they don't know how to handle their emotions. They don't know how to regulate how they feel. Like if you go on, and this is something I know to be true because it's bigger now. I remember when I was young, we fought, we did whatever because everybody did the simple fighting and whatever. Everybody did that. But the way it is now, and people say, well, it's different because of social media. Yeah, it is different, but the numbers are higher as well. It's not just because of social media we're able to hear about things quicker. No, when you look at the numbers, when you look at the statistics of people, young people who are doing things, right? Because they cannot control their emotions. They don't know how to they don't know how to resolve conflict. All they know is I feel this way and it's time to fight. Right? Think about it. Think about it. We for the last 2 decades, going into our third decade, this country has been at war. Right? We have had an unstable economy. We are in year 2026. I remember when the clock flipped over and we were in the year 2000. Those 2000 kids are now parents. Those kids that was born during 9/11, they're now parents. So they were born in that type of chaos. They was born in the world was still raining with doggone smoke in buildings and stuff like that. And people were still unsure, right? That's what they were born in. So now their immune systems are all over the place. But as parents, once we start having kids, we have to put them in environments where, listen, we got to be smarter than that because you have too much to lose, even as parents. Just like those parents that was in charge of that 3-year-old. I don't know what their support system looked like, but what I do know is if that young man had got arrested, got the handcuffs on, and then let's say the mom, because the mom, from my understanding, was the one who said some things first, and I could have gotten the story wrong. I don't know. But the mom of the 3-year-old who was having a party said some things first, and that's how things got started because of what she said verbally. She didn't touch it. I don't know if she touched anybody first, but verbally. So I don't know their support system, but let's just to say that that mom and that dad ended up having to stay the weekend because you get arrested on Saturdays, you ain't getting out to Monday after you see the judge. So what was going to happen with that 3-year-old? I don't know their support system. But I'm still sure somebody might miss work. You might have to pay some money that you didn't have in the budget. Not only that, but you're not going to be able to celebrate your child if you in the clink all weekend, right? Even if you just go home and celebrate that child that you didn't celebrate the park with the ice cream and cake you had for him or her, you still would be better than you sitting in the clanker. But you was willing to jeopardize that because somebody disrespected you or you felt somebody was violating your space that was not even yours. And on top of that, the area was free to the public. That's why it's first come, first serve. First come, first serve. That's why people were there when the gates opened so they can get that one pavilion. Because they didn't have a backup plan. They didn't have tents. They didn't have anything. They needed that pavilion. And so here we are. But this isn't about them because one thing I know about chaos is going to always go on in the world, right? Chaos is a distraction for all the other things that's going on in people's lives. This I know. And that's why I said those young adults who was doing all those things, it was not about they felt disrespect in the moment. There was a lot of other things going on. You could just feel it in the air. Even when they start coming back collecting things, you could just feel it in the air. Like you could just feel it in the air. Like, okay, that's why I was telling the one woman, you're going to have to do a prayer circle for your family, honey. You're going to have to get all y'all together. She said, well, how do I do that? The same way y'all told them to doggone, come on out to this baby shower is the same way you're going to have to text them and put them in a prayer circle. Okay, do it by text if you can't. Do it by text if you can't get them all on the phone or on a Zoom call. But somebody gonna have to start because it started to even seem like they were coming at each other. So it was a lot, right? It was a lot. And again, you are away. You are allowed to feel that way, and it's important that we tell our kids that. But you have to control your remote emotions because that is the part that you are responsible for. You could throw your whole life away because of one decision because you was emotional about something. One decision. We see it every day in the news. And when I was talking about it earlier about things we see in the news, the statistics of people responding with this level of altercation or using tools and weapons and things like that because they felt disrespected or they felt butthurt, right? And what I mean by butthurt, if you look on the social media, there are a lot of people who are becoming unalive because a significant other got jealous or a significant other felt this way. And instead of them going to divorce court, they're not going to divorce court. That's not what they're doing in the year 2026 of the Lord. That's not what they're doing. They're not going to divorce court no more. They say, why? Because I don't want to have to build all over again. So they say, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you, me, or both of us and all of us out. And when you look at statistics, this is what's going on. When you look at that age group between 20 and 35 in the relationships and DVs and things like that, it's a lot because people have not been taught how to regulate their emotions. I don't care how bad. I don't care. Listen, I don't care. I mean, there's a rule. There was a rule when we come up. Let me tell you this before I get ready to end this. There was a rule that when I come up, right, you put something on your shoulder, okay? Y'all remember that? Uh-oh, is that a bruise? I ain't got a bruise. Listen, y'all remember that? You put a stick. Uh-oh, that stick ain't, that pen ain't gonna stay, but just put a stick on your shoulder. Because the thing was, it didn't matter what nobody said to you about you. They could talk about your mama, your daddy, because we had all kind of mama jokes when I was growing up. You listen, we had Eddie Murphy and doggone Richard Pryor. So y'all know we had all kind of mama and daddy jokes. That's what we used to do. But we used to put a stick on the shoulder and say, okay, if you knock that stick off my shoulder, we gonna fight. Can we go back to that? Because as long as that stick wasn't knocked off, you was allowed to say whatever you needed to say to get it off your chest. But you didn't fight because you don't put your hands on people because you already knew it was going to cost you too much. But now I don't think people have any shame these days. I think we should go back to shame and holding people accountable and responsible. Like we got to do better. We have to do better because if we don't do better, what are we doing to teach this next generation? Because this is where I'm like, okay, because I'm in the grandmother. Although I'm a yaya, honey, but I'm not either yet. But when I do become a grandmama, I'm gonna be a yaya. Okay, I'm gonna be a yaya. Okay, now, because the further we move from it, right, the further it's up to y'all to start taking over. And so I'm like, listen, because there's something missing up in there. I know. Did we neglect y'all the Gen X's? Did we neglect the Gen Z's or the generation? What is it? The new gens? Did we neglect them? And now that's why they don't know how to regulate themselves because we was too busy trying to get the bag. Is that what happened? Y'all tell me down below if you're Gen X. Is that what happened? Is that why these new generations cannot relate because they don't know how because we never taught them? Because at some point when they start having babies, okay, because I say this all the time, there's a lot of things that our parents didn't teach us. So before anybody answers that, I'm just going to say it, but put your answer down below. Did we neglect them? But let me tell you what I feel about that. There was a lot of things that my parents did not teach us. My mother and my father did not show me how to join the army and retire. My mother and my father did not show me how to get good credit. My mother and my father did not show me how to, get degrees and stuff because why? They didn't do it. Right. And I'm no disrespect. I'm just saying what they did and what they didn't do. Right. So we still get to pick and choose what we want to do. So when people say, well, I didn't know no better my parents until listen, once you start making babies and creating your own families, you can no longer, you can't blame nobody else no more. It's time to let that go because there's too many resources out here for us to be better. It's too many resources out here. You can go to YouTube school and learn anything you want to learn. How to be a good parent, how to be a better parent. You can go to the library, check out books. They got free doggone if you need counseling, you need coaching. There's all places that you can go and get these things. But we have to start with ourselves, because if we don't, what are we doing for this generation Alpha and the one that's coming? Because we're about to go into another generation. My daughter is 12 years old now. So if she's 12, that means Generation Bravo is coming. And we got to do something different. All right. So listen, I don't know who this is for, but I know that I've never experienced anything like this before. And it's not me, and I've served in the military. But I'm at that age where I don't have time to be running for my life. Okay. I don't have time to be look, because now I got to look out for my daughter, because that's my problem now. I'm like, I don't have a husband. I don't have time to be trying to, I don't want to do all that. No, I don't want to do all that. Y'all keep yourselves at home if y'all don't know how to act out in public. That's what y'all do. If you don't know how to act in public, y'all keep yourselves at home. Y'all have y'all parties at your house. Okay? Y'all have y'all parties at your house, and you leave the parks to the old people if y'all don't know how to act in the parks. Because y'all not going to be tearing up the communities and doggone destroying these places that we don't have a place to go and enjoy. All right? So listen, we got to do better. Our kids deserve better. We have to learn to regulate ourselves, because at the end of the day, we are responsible for us, and that's it. Because there's nobody that want to hear, well, they made me mad or disrespecting me. None of that. None of that. There's gang members right now or people that's not even here because they felt disrespected. Why? Was it worth it? You felt disrespected for something you don't even own, a block, a bench, a pavilion. You don't even own. Don't even own it. What we talking about? What we talking about? It's some things out here we could really be fighting for. All the energy that they took in there, they could take that same energy to the White House and go pick it or do something and talk about these doggone gas prices. They could have used that same energy and go down there and talk about these gas prices. Go to their city, talk about the doggone cost of everything around here. Go do that. Go do that. Spend your energy there. Okay? Anything but what was displayed. Anything but what was displayed, because we have to do better. Our ancestors deserve better than what we showed them, or what was showed at that park this weekend. They deserve better. We don't need to be fighting each other. We don't. Because what are we telling our kids? We're fighting each other? We still doing that? Well, all right, y'all. This has been one Hood Parenting Live that I didn't know I was going to have. Okay, I didn't know that I was going to have. I know that's right. Listen, I know that's right, Gwen. They could have taken that energy and used it somewhere else. There were so many other things. I mean, balloons floated away, the billboards. I mean, the people had made like this one, the 3-year-old. It was his birthday, so they had a Superman or Spider-Man, whoever the character there was, Spider-Man sign with his picture on it. It was all cute. Baby, they hadn't tore down the whole sign. The whole sign was gone. By the time I went to go record, I couldn't even find the sign. I guess the sign was just in the garbage at that point. Well, what the sign done to the folks? What the sign did that y'all had to tear up this baby sign? But apparently somebody ripped it down and tore it up because they was like, forget this baby, this party. That's a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot. All right. But listen, if you are catching this on the replay and you decide that, you know what, I like it here. I like it here over at Hood Parenting. Then you know what? Go ahead and find you any spot. Take the whole block in the neighborhood. Okay. Because here at Hood Parenting, this is what this is, a neighborhood. All right. So go ahead and get you a piece of property, the block in the neighborhood, by pressing subscribe, and then turn on your notifications. So when we decide to have a neighborhood party, you will be the first to know. So listen, y'all go ahead and have an amazing rest of the week. And I will catch you guys in the next slide. And thank you for participating, Gwen. Thank you. I will see you guys.